On November 25, 1965, the film Gammera the Giant Monster hit Japanese theaters, making these truly Kaiju's march through the global culture. 2025 marks the 60th anniversary of this event, making it the perfect opportunity to take a look back at all the films in this series. Hello, I'm XRTT, and starting today, I will be posting videos dedicated to individual films, anime series, and some more Gamera related stuff. I'm starting with the first one, Gamera the Giant Monster. 1965 brought us the premiere of many films, the most memorable of this day being The Sound of Music for a Few Dollars More and Dr. Zhivago. With whose protagonist, Yuri Zhivago, I shared part of artistic name. We also got the fourth installment of the James Bond series, Thunderball, one of the few that have any turtle elements. And for the more Kaiju themed take, Godzilla had been around for about 10 years, slowly gaining ground. After the Godzilla movie, we got Godzilla Raids again in 1955, King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962. The year 1964 brought two films, Mothra vs. Godzilla and Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And simultaneously to the Gammera, in December of 1965, Invasion of the Astro Monsters hits Japanese theaters. The first Gammera is the only film in the series where, like the original Godzilla, Gammera doesn't fight any other kaiju. The similarities with Godzilla don't end there, just in the letter. His negative character from humanity's perspective, he hasn't become the friend of our children. It should be noted, however, that a solid foundation for evolution in this direction has been planted here. Moving to the film itself, with minor spoilers, we don't have to wait long for Gammera. He debuts at the very beginning, and these scenes are truly amazing. After his debut, Gammera seemingly disappeared from the screen. Those familiar with his powers know that the headlines about UFOs sighted around the world are connected to Gammera, but for a fictional viewer, it might seem like some unrelated plot point, preparing us for the appearance of aliens or something similar. Throughout the film, we gradually learn about Gammera's various powers. When they try to defeat him with fire, it turns out that he absorbs fire and electricity give him more strength. After Gammera lands on his back, one of the hackers, a professor, says that turtles are unable to get back on their feet, which is untrue. Many species can turn back, which indicates their good health, and the inability to do so is a warning sign. In this scene, we also learn that the UFOs seen around the world were actually flying Gammera. Ultimately, humanity used gathered information and tempts Gammera with fire. Gammera's creators learned from Godzilla not to focus on sequels, so the threat posed by Gammera was averted, but he wasn't killed. The giant turtle was simply sent into space as part of Plan Z. It's best not to look into this too closely, because given Gammera's size and the size of the space he is trapped, in relativity to the rest of the rocket, it must be enormous. I also can't help but mention the main villains of this film, as well as the worst characters of the entire series. Jokingly, of course, I mean Timmy's parents, because they tell him to get rid of his true passion, and that's very uncool. Watching the version with the original Japanese audio and English subtitles is a slightly different experience compared to the dubbed version. There are a whole number of differences in what we learn between one version and the other. There are mostly minor changes, and the first one is the very first dialogue of the film. In the original, the driver has a line informing the doctor that they've reached the Eskimo camp, while in the English dub this is skipped. The subtitles mention the Atlantis continent, the dub speaks of the Arctic. The English version of Kenny's task also places much greater emphasis on the claim that Gammera is good. In the subtitles, on the other hand, you get the impression that Kenny suspects that it was his pet turtle, which he was forced to release, that somehow transformed into Gammera. In the dub, such suggestion is absent. In Japan, the next film was set less than 6 months after the first, but Gammera vs. Bargon will be the subject of another video. For now, however, I will focus on something that actually came out later than the sequel. In December 1966, Gamera the Invincible was released in American theaters, and it's the only film from the Showa era that was released in that way in the US. With the title using two M's, this version is often called the Americanization of the original. Some scenes have been completely removed, others have been moved to other parts of the movie, and some were specifically shot and feature Americans, with intention to make the film more international. Minor scenes featuring Gamera herself, which were cut from the original version, have also been restored. Among the more interesting differences is the identity of the fighter carrying the atomic bomb that opens the film. The original leave is unspecified, while the American version clearly named it as a Russian machine. Another difference that stands out is in the club scene, which shows people fun being interrupted by Gamera attacks. The original features simply dance music, while Gamera the Invincible features a song that recurrently mentions Gamera. The origins of the Gamera concept is a complicated topic. There is several versions, each of them varying in detail. A considered theme is that Masaaki Nagata, director of Dai, was flying a plane and saw a turtle. There are versions that it was a turtle-shaped cloud, a version of a turtle-shaped island, and even a turtle simply flying alongside the plane. Tomio Sagisu, however, claims that the concept of a giant turtle was taken from a demo reel he sent to Dai several years earlier. He depicted a large turtle retracting his limbs and flying away. I'm not a historian, I won't find the truth. Maybe both versions are a little bit true, maybe only one, or maybe neither. After all, the story about the plane is a bit too similar to the analogous story that was told about how the concept of Godzilla was created. Noriaki Yuasa was appointed director of the first and almost all of the other films in the Showa series. He directed 7 films. Only the second, Gamera vs. Barugon, was directed by Shigeo Tanaka. But Noriaki continued to work on it as a special effect director. He didn't receive Gamera as an established director. On the contrary, one could say he took it because no one else wanted it. Many directors turned it down, fearing that a kaiju film wouldn't be as successful and would in turn harm their careers. The film itself was considered a second-rate work with significant budget constraints, hence the decision to shoot it in black and white. Its greater than expected success led to more funding for a sequel, so they decided to give the second installment to a more experienced director. Usually for kaiju film at the time, Yuasa also had significant influence on Gamera scenes, allowing him to significantly influence how Gamera was portrayed. In interviews, he said that one way he wanted to distinguish Gamera from Godzilla is that he walks on all four, only using 2 legs in special occasions. He also emphasized that from the beginning he wanted Gamera to be child-friendly, hence the scenes with Kenny and the direction of the next film. He also mentioned that he wanted to reach children in orphanages with the message, you don't have parents, but you have Gamera. He also wanted Gamera to be a constant, a point of support for children, citing his wartime memories. He was born in 1933, so he was a child during World War II. In 1941, he was 8 years old when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, and in 1945, he was less than 12 years old when the atomic bombs killed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He says he remembers the atmosphere he grew up in, a military one, with all the adults talking about how good the war was, etc. But after the Japan surrender, adults abandoned their previous position en masse, making him feel cheated as a child and lose trust in adults. So you can almost say he treated the Gamera films as a form of therapy. Gamera is always good to kids and can be relied on, unless they happen to be unlucky enough to be in a building that happens to be destroyed, but oh well, let's not get into that. Time for a few words about the actors. Back then, it was standard practice for Japanese film studios to have actors working for a given studio, meaning that if you watch multiple films from the same studio, a significant number of actors appears again and again. This is also the case in the Gamera films. The list is not extensive, I just mentioned some names. A very important character, Dr. Hidaka, was played here by Enji Funakoshi. He has appeared in Gamera vs. Guiron, where he played Dr. Shiga. Eskin Mochiev was played by Yoshiro Yoshida. He returned as Niemon in Gamera vs. Zigra. Yoshiro Kitahara played in 4 Gamera films. Here, he was Mr. Sakurai. In Gamera vs. Barugon, he appears as Professor Amano. In Gamera vs. Gauss, as Dr. Aoki. And finally, he was Masao's father in Gamera vs. Virus. Munehiko Takada also played in 4 Gamera movies. He appeared as Soviet representative here, as Shinkansen customer in Gamera vs. Gauss, as Jim Fathers in Gamera vs. Virus, and foreign helicopter pilot in Gamera vs. Jiger. Shin Miratsu appeared here as announcer at Sapporo Broadcasting Station. In Gamera vs. Barugon, he played Avai Maru crewman. In Gamera vs. Gauss, he was Okabu the photographer. And in Gamera vs. Zigra, he appeared in an unspecified role. And that's not all, because Koji Fujiyama also played 4 roles. Here, he played US Arctic Base Commander if you trust the IMDb, and refinery staff if you prefer information from Wikizilla. He played Onodera in Gamera vs. Barugon, the commander of Self-Defense Force in Gamera vs. Virus, and Dr. Tom Wallace in Gamera vs. Zigra. Kenji Oyama played here the role of Minister of Defense. In Gamera vs. Chaos, he appeared as District Police Commissioner. Jun Osanai played Hidori Maru Captain here and an specific role in Gamera vs. Barugon. Yoko Inoue played here Self-Defense Force Adjutant and an specific role in Gamera vs. Zigra. Ichai Kita played Chidori Maru Navigator and an specific role in Gamera vs. Zigra. Kenichi Tani here played an officer in Gamera vs. Barugon. He appeared as Lee. Kazuo Mori played Chidori Maru Radioman. In Gamera vs. Barugon, he appeared as Avaibality crewman. Jutaro Kitashiro played the Self-Defense Force Commander Hin and in Gamera vs. Barugon. The only one who seems to play the same character. Sunoku Nataka here played Kenny's uncle. In Gamera vs. Barugon, he appeared as Hayashi. The main character, Gamera, cannot be overlooked in terms of acting. Usually, he wasn't played by just one person. Due to the difficulty level, according to Kaijupedia, these hired for the role quickly left, meaning members of the special effect team has to dress the costume, driving lots to determine who will be the unlucky one to do it. Kazuo Ayaki spends the most time as a torture. Over the years, the film has been released on seemingly every format imaginable, including these now relatively obscure, like Laserdisc. Later, of course, VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. Besides single releases, various packages have also been released, from quite modest ones with 2 films, such as Tupac with Gamera Giant Monster and Gamera vs. Barugon. Instead of Barugon, there is also a version with Gamera vs. Gauss. We also get complete sets containing all the films. There are also intermediate versions, either containing, for example, 4 films or all 8 films of the Showa era, and one wanting to collect all the English language edition has a lot of fun ahead of them. There is also a nice shortcut when it comes to physical releases. In 2020, Arrow Video released the 8-disc Blu-ray set Gamera the Complete Collection, which is exactly that. And most importantly, the completeness doesn't just mean getting all 12 films. The discs also include great wealth of bonus materials, some created specially for this release, and a significant portion was taken from previous DVD and other releases. All English dubs were also included. As for the topic of this recording, we get Gamera the Giant Monster with the original audio and dubbing, and we also have option of watching it with audio commentary by Kaiju expert August Ragon. Gamera the Invincible is also included in the set. I own the limited edition, which includes many additional physical materials, such as a book, comic book, postcards, a map, and so on. This version is currently unavailable from the publisher and can only be obtained second-hand. But if you are looking for content, Arrow has for 20 also released a version with the physical extras. Actually, 2 of them. One with 4 discs dedicated to the Showa era, and the other with the remaining 4 films, also a 4-disc set. Content-wise, these are the same disc as the limited edition with all the digital bonus stuff. The film is widely available online. For US viewers, it's available on a number of services, including the free, no login required Tuki.tv. Importantly, both versions are available there, the Japanese original and the American version, Gamera the Invincible. There were also loose plans to create a colorized version, but they were abandoned based on the 1987 Variety article, due to negative fan reaction to the idea. As an Easter egg, I also have to mention the German release. For some reason, the title is translated quite originally there. I won't try to speak the German, I'll show it on screen, but literally it means Gamera, Frankenstein's ice monster. A note about the film itself. Now, a few words about the films and TV series that reference this film. And there have been quite a few. First up is Mystery Science Theater 2000, a program in which actors watch and comment on various films, especially bad ones. A lot of the Showa era Gamera movies were watched on this program, and Gamera the Giant Monster appeared 2 times. First, it appeared in season shot at KTMA TV, a local Minneapolis area independent television station, in episode 5, airing in December 1988. Interestingly, it wasn't the first Gamera film in the series. A week earlier, an episode featuring Gamera vs. Barugon aired. After the initial success on the aforementioned station, the series made its way to the widely available comedy channel, where in its 3rd season, on June 8, 1991, Gamera was again reviewed and commented on, this time as the first in the series. Gamera himself was also referenced in numerous other episodes of Mystery Science Theater 2000, dedicated to films such as The Time of the Apes, The Saga of the Wicked Woman at the Voyage to the Waters of the Great Sea Serpent, Teenager from the Outer Space, Santa Claus, and Gorgo. Many films and TV series have used clips from this film. I will address the films first. In the 2003, the Film Corporation used clips from this movie. In the 2005 film Great Yokai War, in one scene, after a flying kaiju flies by, one of the actors says, "Hey, it's only Gamera."
Naya, Gamera, yeah.
In the 2007 film Dedication, the main character, Henry, watches this film in several different scenes. In 2015, the documentary The Death of Superman Rise, What Happened, used clips from this film. In 2016 we got The Darkness, in which the film is shown on a television in one scene. In 2018, we get Pacific Rim Rebellion. There is a scene showing the skulls of various kaijus, including Gammera and some of her adversaries. The adversaries are from subsequent films, but Gammera can be considered a reference to this film. Appearances in TV series can be divided into two types. Series that simply feature clips of the film and animated references. In the second episode of the fifth season of Dead Like Me, titled Dead Girl Walking, the film can be seen on TV. The third episode of the fourth season of Mad Men, titled The Good News, similarly allows us to see a clip of the film, this time in the title. In the fifth episode of the second season of Smart Guy, titled Dumpstruck, Gammera is mentioned.
Culminated in big old radioactive monsters. Mothra!
Gamera! Godzilla!
Animated elements featuring Gammera appeared, for example, in an episode of Robot Chicken, titled Molly Lucero in Your Face Bob. Another popular animated series, The Simpsons, had 3 episodes featuring Gammera. The first is season 6, episode 8, Lisa on Ice, where Gammera is seen on Monster Island. The next one is from season 10, episode 23, 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, when the paint pilot mentions Gammera and he is also seen. Gammera's last appearance is in season 25, episode 5, Treehouse of Horror 26, in the segment Homer Zilla. Japanese series also features numerous references to Gammera, which isn't surprising considering it is a Japanese monster. In the 1982 episode of Usai Yutsura titled Shocking Library, Quiet Please, you can see the flying Gammera in the library. In the 2000 episode Kochira Kachiuba Kukwame Kuen Makamiguro titled This is the East Ginza Kapugi Theater Police Box, a Gammera made of origami appears. The 2005 episode of Ultraman Makusu titled Baraji no Yogen features a scene with a toy representing Gammera. One final interesting fact, the opening animation created for the 3rd and 4th edition of Daikon from 1981 and 1983 respectively feature fragments of this film. Let's talk quickly about manga. Akira Toriyama was definitely a fan of Gammera, because this turtle appears in both of his flagship works, Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. In the second one, Master Roshi, the turtle hermit, used baby Gammera for transportation. There are also several Gammera references in the TMNT comics. Let's speak about various movie-related merch. We received various Gammera figurines from different units, listed by Bandai and other companies. Among the things you might expect, we never received a Funko Pop figure featuring this version of Gammera or another. We did get a comic book adaptation, though not too soon as it came out in 1995. A world series of 8 volumes were published, adapting all the Showa films. The film's volume is of course the somewhat repetitive title, Gamera the Giant Monster 1. Gammera. The next recording will be about Gammera vs. Bargon, but for now, that's all. Thank you for watching, leave a like and subscribe if you liked it, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!